Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back into the video today. And today, the Houston Astros lose the Chicago White Sox 7-3. Terrible loss for this Houston Astros team to lose the Chicago White Sox, who came into the game being 8-22. And the one thing 8-23. And the one thing I will say is, but even though this is a terrible loss, we should be freaking out about this team over one loss to the White Sox, because look what happened last year. Last year, the Houston Astros faced this same pitcher, Jonathan Cannon, and only got like one or two hits against him, and he killed him. He got his first win of his major league career facing this Astros team, and absolutely just murdered this lineup. And I don't know if I would say he murdered this lineup today, because he did go 6 innings, but did give up 9 hits, 2 earned runs, which is a lot worse than he did his last outing against this Astros team. But after, the Astros turned to 33-40 last year when they lost to this White Sox team when Cannon put on a show last year. And it was this real freak out for this Astros team, or Astros fans really, because they lost to the White Sox. And after that, the Astros went on this huge run. The Astros finished the season 88 and 73. So after that point, the Astros finished the season 51 and I want to say 33, if I'm correct. Yes, 33 33. So 51 and 33, the Astros finished the season last year after that point against the White Sox. It was a real turning point after that loss to the Astros. I would still say that the Astros have done a lot better through 31 games so far, even though they've lost to the White Sox today throughout the season compared to last year. The Astros, I talked about this earlier, through 30 games, not 31. The Astros last year were 10-20 through 30 games. And I want to say maybe they're 11-20 through 31 games, but it might have been 10-21. And the other thing was, it also took them last year 41 games to reach the 16-win mark. And since we've seen this Astros team now lose 2 games in a row, they actually did that in 29 games. And so they got 16 wins in 29 games, which is way better than they did last year, and they still won 88 games last year. So, but I don't think I'd freak out about this loss. But it's definitely concerning that the Astros lose the White Sox. But I think it all depends on how the Astros bounce back in this series, because Hunter Brown's going to be on the mound against this White Sox team tomorrow. He's got the best ERA in baseball. Framber Valdez, I didn't think he'd struggle as bad as he did against this White Sox team today. Hunter Brown might, have some mistakes here and there, but he's not going to pitch as bad against this White Sox team as Framber Valdez did today. And so you've seen before that the offense doesn't have to do very good in order for Hunter Brown. When Hunter Brown is out there, they've got a couple wins this year where it's or at least one where they got one win this year where it's a shutout and they only score 2 runs with Hunter. So he's just been that good this year. So we'll see what happens tomorrow when he touches the mound. But 10 hits for this Astros team. They actually they out-hit Chicago. But the crazy thing is the Astros in the 3 innings of the bullpen only had 1 hit. The Astros actually were better offensively today when facing Cannon compared to the bullpen. 9 hits in 6 innings over Cannon, only 1 in 3 innings against the bullpen. 0 errors in the ballgame for the Astros, 2 for the White Sox. That's just disappointing. You out-hit them. They make 2 errors. They actually had a good amount of walks. I want to say the offense had a good amount of walks today. I think the bullpen did. No walks, only one walk for the Astros. So you had 1 walk. The White Sox did have 5 walks today, but so the White Sox did they outwalked them pretty much, only outwalked them by 4. So that was where they beat them, was the walks. The errors, the Astros got a couple runners on due to errors. They out-hit them. Framber gets the loss 1-4. He hasn't won since opening day. The Astros do have 2 wins with Framber on the mound this year. One was against Seattle. Ryan Gusto got the win pitching. It was a 12-inning game, but Framber, he only has 1 win this year. It's just 1-4. It's just, and look, the ERA, for Framber, it's not, I'm not going to say it's good, but it's not bad. It's 4.39. I think it was a little bit under 4, going into this game today. So, it's not terrible for Framber. And But this sometimes his offense hasn't been able to back him up. You look at Frommer's last start; he went 8 innings, only giving up 2 earned runs, and the offense had scored 8 runs. So I don't know if I'd blame the offense for this performance by Framber Valdez, but the offense still should have done better today going up against this White Sox team, to the point where maybe Framber Valdez didn't get a win, but Framber Valdez didn't get a loss, and maybe just a no decision. I just think they should have backed him up more today. But scoring summary, I mean, the first 2 runs went to the White Sox in the first and second inning. Then Yainer Diaz hit an RBI double, 2-1. It was a lot of Yainer Diaz in this game today. Luis Robert hit a home run. 3-1. Cuero RBS single to score Vargas 1-4, and then Jake Myers hit an RBS single to left. Diaz scored. It's 2-4. So Diaz was involved there. Yainer Diaz was also involved when he hit an 8th-inning home run, 409 feet to center, 4-3. But then 3 runs in the 8th inning for the White Sox just put this game to bed. Amaya single, Baldwin ground out, scores a run. Taylor RBI double to left, 7-3, and that was it. Pena, Altuve both went 1 for 5. Alvarez went 0 for 4. Isak went 1 for 4 with a single. Christian Walker went 1 for 4. Yainer Diaz was absolutely fantastic, batting over 200 after his game today. He was great, double to center. Walker scored, single to center, home run to center. Brendan Rodgers was 1 for 4. He was the only guy that hit a home run off of Jonathan Cannon going into the game. Now Yainer Diaz joins him, but single to center to get Diaz to second, which led to a run for the Astros in that 6th inning. And then Cannon Smith went 0 for 3. Look, I didn't agree with Cannon Smith being in the lineup today. 9th-inning walk. I would have liked. I talked about it before, but I would have loved to see Mauricio Dubon in this lineup today. Mauricio Dubon had some good history against Cannon. Was one of 3 Astros to get a hit off of Cannon when the Astros played the White Sox and Cannon. All the way back in, I want to say it was June last year. So I would have had Dubon today in the lineup playing right field over Can Smith just because of the matchup thing with Jonathan Cannon. But Can Smith was 0 for 3 and then had the only walk of the day for this Astros lineup. Jake Myers did go 2 for 4 today. Good to see him hit the ball again. It's been a while. RBI single to left for Jake in the 6th inning. And then a single to left in the 5th inning for Jake Myers, and that was it. Framber Valdez, outside of his 6 innings, he had 4 earned runs. Taylor Scott did give up 3 in the 8th, like I mentioned. Ort pitched the 6th inning, getting 2 strikeouts. But then here's the thing I don't understand. Taylor Scott pitches the 7th inning. Looks great. He looks great for this Astros team to go out there and give you 7th inning. He had 2 strikeouts. The Astros bring him out in the 8th inning. He only gets 1 out, gives up a lot of damage, gives up 3 earned runs, 3 walks, 2 strike, didn't have any strikeouts. He only got 1 out. His 2 strikeouts were in the 7th inning. So just the only thing, I just don't understand why bring him out for that 8th inning. You bring out Bennett Sowoso, who hasn't given up an earned run yet. He gives up 1 hit but gets the final 2 outs in 6 pitches. Doesn't throw a ball, all strikes thrown in 6 pitches for Bennett. It's just it's really not. I don't think this is a Taylor Scott thing. I mean, obviously it was really bad the way he pitched in that 8th inning, but Taylor Scott had a fantastic 7th inning. Joe Espada should have ended it there. I know you don't want to bring in Abreu or Josh Hader being down 1 run, which you could, but asking Taylor Scott to go a 2nd inning with how good he was in that 7th inning, and then also knowing that he has had some struggles this year, I didn't like that decision by Joe. You could have just brought out Bennett originally, in the 8th inning. You could have brought up Brian King. There were plenty of other options for this Astros team to use besides asking Scott to go a 2nd inning, and that was a bad manager call there by Joe Espada. But so 7-3 is the final score for the Astros, but let's see how this Astros team could bounce back, because we've seen before that this Astros team could bounce back losing the opening series against the White Sox, the opening game of a series against the White Sox, and we've seen that before. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, and peace out.